Hello everyone and welcome back to a totally normal podcast about films. At Unpack, we're talking about Nosferatu again. Or are we? Well, we are, it's a remake. Released in 1979? I am Claire and I'm joined by my co-host.
Leon, hi.
So yeah, this is the remake of the 1922 classic Nosferatu. Which... it came out like 67 years after, which you know, part of me is like, wow, that's like, you know, remaking a silent film. That's almost sacrilege, but not like the films from the, you know, there's films from the 70s being remade, from the 60s even.
Yeah,
So it's not that sacrilegious.
and it's so
it
weird.
Sorry, go on.
It's so weird that the time between those two films is longer than the time between us now and the film and the remake.
Yeah, and like we're getting a new remake soon.
Yay.
But yeah, is it Werner Herzog
Uh,
directed this?
Werner Herzog.
Werner
But yeah.
Herzog.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was his remake, and I like the story behind this. I was looking into this. Do you know why it came out in 1979?
No.
Because that was the exact year that the copyrights for Dracula entered the public domain, and he wanted to remake it because he considered Nosferatu to be the greatest cinematic triumph of Germany.
Yeah.
I personally think Caligari's a little better, but
I like Caligari more too. But there are other German expressionist film that we can still watch.
So yeah, so we're not going to go over like the history of Nosferatu because we went over that in the last time, but pretty much yeah, this film was, I'd say it's a remake, but I'd honestly argue it's more of a reimagining. It does all of its own things with it.
I don't...
Very good things.
Yeah, I don't quite remember if the ending differs.
The ending significantly differs.
Because I couldn't quite remember what exactly was the end of the silent film, but I knew there was something.
Because it does differ.
Okay.
So we're going to be entering spoiler territory, but general gist, at least from me, I recommend it. It's good. If you enjoy the original, you will probably enjoy this. It hits a lot of the similar beats, but also does its own thing.
I would even argue right on the beginning that I like this one more than the original. Maybe not from the legacy, but yeah,
like as a film.
Yeah.
I feel like I jump between which I prefer.
Okay, so what I would say is, if I would have to watch a movie, some of them again, I would watch this one again.
Yes. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, yawny, Claire. So let's get into spoiler territory. So the film basically hits a lot of the similar plot beats from the last one. Obviously the key difference, I'd say, from the offset is they are no longer pretending that this isn't Dracula.
Yeah. They just say it right from the beginning.
Yeah. I'm curious if this new remake will do the same thing, but yep, they are very explicit that this is Dracula. We kind of get a bit more explanation about why Jonathan Harker goes to Transylvania. Which is basically just he wants to give his wife a better home. While we're talking about this, can we appreciate the guy that plays Renfield?
Yeah. He did a great job.
He is off his rocker and I love him.
Which version did you watch?
I watched the English. Yeah, there's an English and a German version, isn't there?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Okay, I just dropped this trivia right here. This movie was so every scene almost every scene is shot in English and in German. So instead of dubbing, they just had the actors speak the different language if they were able to.
That's really interesting because like that's kind of what they used to do with like older films. Yeah, I watched the English. I watched the BFI release.
Yeah, okay, because they kind of differ in some camera shots.
Okay, I'll have to look up like a shot comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Renfield was delightful.
Easily
one of like the highlights.
He embraced the weirdness of playing a crazy character, or somebody on the edge of getting crazy and then being crazy later on.
Because like he's in Nosferatu the original, but he kind of feels like a bit of a footnote to Orlok. While, let's say, like the 1931 Dracula, Renfield in that film is very open and very delightfully twisted.
Yeah.
To the point where he's getting they're making a film as a homage to him. But I think this one, he's very central. And it's interesting because he doesn't really, beyond sending Jonathan to Transylvania, he doesn't actually contribute all that much to the film, but he adds to the mood. You see Jonathan go to Transylvania, and it's, he goes to an inn. He mentions he's going to Count Dracula's castle. They tell him not to go. He goes.
And they really take their time.
They really do take... it takes a good, 15 minutes for him to actually get to Dracula's castle.
Yeah, I watched, when he got back from Transylvania, it was an hour into the movie.
Huh. Also, sorry, I skipped over this. Fuck whoever decided to make the opening scene that, because I really get uncomfortable around mummies.
Oh yeah, the opening scene. So, I think this is really creepy and sets the mood. Maybe really explain a little bit what you see.
Mm-hmm. You see a lot of spaces of all mummified corpses in various states of misery. It really just set this horrible atmosphere.
And all those close-ups.
We get some very severe close-ups. It's quite a creepy scene. I'd honestly just recommend just watching it alone as well. So yeah, he gets the castle, and this is where I think, in some regards, the film is inferior to the silent version. Because the castle scene, the whole castle stuff in original Nosferatu is fantastic.
Yeah.
It, on its own, is possibly just one of my favourite renditions of Dracula. Not even just the iconic shots, like the doorway and the shadow. It's kind of creepy and atmospheric, and I think they go a little too hard into the fact that very quickly, look, Dracula's a vampire. Well, at least in the original Nosferatu, they kind of give up the mystery of it, okay, what's going on with this Orlok fellow,
Yeah.
We know it's Dracula, but it really isn't until the door scene that, Jonathan realises, oh, fuck, I'm dealing with a vampire. I
like how in this version, Dracula, from the start, is like, you have a really nice throat.
Yeah, I will say, I am dunking on this. It is still a very good rendition, and I'll get onto this later. This might be one of my favourite renditions of the character. I think this Dracula is such a fascinating version. What do you think of like the castle? Because like it is different, and that doesn't mean it's bad. But
I think the castle was really. It didn't have that much of an impact to me than the original castle. Did we ever get a full shot of this one?
I think we get a little bit of a full shot, but not much.
Yeah, in this version, the castle isn't like its own character. It's just a scene, setting for a scene. In the other one, I thought it was more like the castle has its own character, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like I feel like that about a lot of Dracula editions. Yeah, Dracula's castle is such an integral thing.
But I really liked the little boy with the fiddle.
What the fuck was up with the little boy?
I don't know what he did there.
Was he a ghost? Was he just some kid?
It's just a kid who plays the fiddle.
Yeah. We do get a homage to the famous door scene.
Yeah.
And I do like it. I do like that they actually did keep the fact that he just barely fits through the door and stuff. Because that's so iconic. Obviously, the original is... It's kind of unfair to compare, actually, because, like, it's, the original's a masterpiece, really. But I still think that scene does a really good job.
It does.
I also, while we're here, I really like how Dracula looks in this film. Obviously, like the look of Orlok is pretty defined, but like I like how like the fangs are unique and stuff.
Yeah, like instead of having these, my vocabulary lacks the names of teeth.
Oh, I don't know the teeth anyway, but yeah, like normally it's like the teeth in your mouth that are like fangs.
Yeah.
But this time it's the buck teeth. And honestly, that just seems slightly more practical.
Like a rat.
Yeah. And they used rat imagery a lot. Because something that a lot of people have noticed about Nosferatu is allegories for the plague. And as the film goes on, we see more rats.
A lot of rats.
But yeah, so Jonathan finds out that Dracula is a vampire. Dracula goes off on the coach. The coach that rides itself. And makes his daring escape back, where he immediately fails and nearly falls to his death.
Yeah.
We get a lot of stuff backing in, because there's the whole, there's the boat scene happens. And the boat scene didn't quite leave as much of an impact on me, but it was good,
Yeah.
I missed the shot of just Orlok peeking out the hole like I'm gonna kill you. But
y'all just my snacks.
They make it back, and there's a really nice shot actually as like the manless boat returns. Was it Wismar?
Who?
What town are they? Is it called, what was the town called? Was it Wismar?
Weismar, I think.
Weismar, yeah. So they arrive, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, the boat! There's no people on it, but rats." And then, like, in the Dead of Night, Dracula has an honestly quite comical scene where he has to like smuggle his coffins off the boat.
Wismar. It's called Wismar.
Yeah. Wismar.
Okay.
I think it's... And from here, everything just goes to shit.
Yeah. This is pretty much like they go all in with the plague allegory. Mm-hmm. Is this an allegory? I don't know if I'm using the right word.
It is, no, it is. Obviously, they're very more explicit with it because they do just think he's the plague. But I like it. I think it's a really good approach. It's a lot better than the usual approach of, oh dear, people are dying in this town. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the friendly count. Instead, going with this whole kind of approach of, yeah, people are dying. Oh god, has the plague come? Because that's genuine fear. It's still a fear to this day, so it's quite effective.
Yeah.
We get... Honestly, I'm going to say this right now, because I think this is a bit... No, because... Wait, no, I'm jumping ahead a bit, because like Jonathan Harker returns, and he's like...
Gone.
He's lost his mind. He doesn't remember his wife.
He didn't lose his mind like Renfield, but he literally lost his mind. Like, he doesn't remember anything.
Yeah. There's something twisted about him, and I've got a point to make about this later.
Yeah.
And, Lucy starts to read his diary. And this is where we get, in my opinion, the best shot in this entire fucking movie. When Dracula enters her room.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good vampire mirror shot. I don't think I've seen one quite as effective as this one. Because you basically see him enter her room from the perspective of the mirror.
Yeah.
She knows he's entering, but she can't see him, and neither can you until his arm comes out. It's slow, it's methodical, it's really effective.
But you see the shadow, right?
You do see his shadow.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's a great shot.
It is.
And it's here where I start to feel like... And this is the point I was going to make on Dracula. This is probably the most lonely Dracula I think I've ever seen.
Probably, because the castle seems even more empty than in the original. And he even mentions it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he from the dialogue, he gives off this tragic loneliness to him. It's almost like he's not just craving Lucy because, oh my god, beautiful woman, but he's not really encountered any women.
Yeah.
And with what's going on with Jonathan, it kind of makes sense, Vampirism messes with you, it breaks you. Yeah, you become immortal, but are you really alive? And, there's usually the running gag with Dracula stuff, which is that, Dracula is such a, he's such like a, what's the word? He's a ladies' man.
He is a ladies' man, but he loves his man.
Yes. But, he's seducing so many figures, so many women. He's usually always got a few brides, and Nosferatu is the exception. But Orlok in Nosferatu comes off as less lonely and more just like he's a bit weird,
Yeah.
He's just a creepy dude. But this one honestly gives off the impression of a sad, tired, old, lonely man.
Yeah.
And it's quite tragic. Yeah, sure, he's killing everyone in the town, but
that's the thing about Werner Herzog. He is known to tell stories with maybe a lot of emotion,
Yeah. And I think and this is where I think This is why I can't decide which version I prefer more. Because on the other hand, the original version is just cinematic and just really interesting and visually stunning. But on the other hand, this film still has some of that, not as strong, but makes up for it with some really powerful emotions. Because as the town starts to descend into chaos, there's a brilliant scene where she's invited to a Last Supper.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to just rats eating the food.
Yeah.
It's quite haunting, because it's hard to make a scary Dracula movie. You know,
because
Dracula's
everybody knows the
done.
story, or why do you think so?
He's not. Dracula isn't as scary anymore. The vampire is such a common part of pop culture that, like, the only way to really make a Dracula story scary is to either reinvent him, or to really amp up the gore and imagery. And from the opening scene, I thought that was what this film was going to do. So for them to instead not play off that, but to instead play off emotionally haunting stuff, people resigning them to their fate. The scene where there's like 100 pallbearers just carrying coffins because the people are dropping.
Yeah.
Horses dead in the street. It's quite powerful.
It is.
I think how do you feel about this? Because like Dracula is a really hard character, I think, now to make scary, because we're not quite as afraid of what Dracula represented anymore.
I think there is the potential to make vampires or Dracula kind of scary again.
Yeah.
There's a book I read. It's called... It's called Skullduggery Pleasant, I think.
Oh, yes. I know those books, yes.
And that one had vampires in it, and they were more scary to me when I read them, but I was like 14 when I read them.
Yeah.
But they are more like animalistic.
Yeah, there's basically three types of vampires. There's the seducer, There's the monster. And then there's the tragic one.
And the Count.
I just Count Dracula.
No, I mean the Count from the
yeah, but I think the Count...
or do you think he is the tragic one?
I think the Count... See, what I mean by this is, like, the Count is kind of his own subtype, but the Count can work as any of them, Look at Dracula in renditions, Dracula from 1931, I'd say, is a seducer.
Okay.
Orlok, I think, is a monster.
Uh-huh.
But this Dracula, I think, is a tragic figure.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there'll be, crossover and exceptions, but...
We talked about the same Count, right? I talked about the Count from the Sesame Street.
Oh, that Count! Sorry, I thought you were about, like... Oh, no, the Count is
a tragic,
ladies, man.
Really tragic.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about Count
sorry,
from the Sesame Street, and you're like, he's a ladies' man.
I was to realise you were calling out the Count. Oh yes, the Count is the exception, as is Count Chocula.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on.
Who can remember the heart-wrenching scene where the Count is trying to count, but Cookie Monster is eating the cookies that he's counting?
Cinematic masterpiece.
Mm-hmm. But ultimately, we get to the realization from Lucy that she basically has to bait Dracula out.
Yeah.
She goes to Van Helsing, who is frankly useless in this movie.
He's a doctor.
He's a doctor, and he only helps at the last minute. I much prefer versions of Van Helsing where it's like, a vampire, fucking awesome, right, get him a cross, get him a stake, let's go kill this dude, I've been waiting 40 years for this moment. This one's like, nope, vampires don't exist.
Yeah.
She baits him out, she puts salt around Jonathan, who has pretty much gone full vampire now.
He's pretty wide.
And she baits him in, and in a pretty much a remake of the ending of the original Nosferatu, he kills her by drinking her blood, but then sun rises. And the sun doesn't quite kill him.
He looks more like he's having a seizure.
Yeah, the sun more so just severely weakens him. And at that point, Van Helsing shows up as like, yeah, alright, yeah, I guess vampires exist, and kills him.
Yeah.
We don't actually see him die, but we do see the bloody stake.
Yeah.
Jonathan basically, I say frames him for Dracula's death. Yeah, he did kill Dracula, but yeah.
He frames it more like
he murdered him.
Yeah.
They have a really interesting exchange about how arrested. There's no police. They're dead.
That's my favorite scene. It was quite funny.
They're just entire conversation about why will they jail him? The jail, of course, but there's no jailers. It is actually quite a good scene.
Take him in. Me?
Yeah, just
right
that
now?
one guy, like, I'm really not equipped for this.
He's this really thin man who's a little bit crouched and with a top hat on.
The least equipped guy for this situation.
Nobody knows why he didn't die during all this.
I imagine he's got a great immune system.
Yeah, probably.
But after they arrest him and leave, Jonathan orders his maid to clean the salt around him.
And then he steps out really happy.
Mm-hmm. He's got the beaver teeth of the vampire.
Mm.
And he rides off into the sunset. I'm not even fucking kidding. That is how the movie ends.
It's literally what he does.
I think it's an interesting twist on the ending.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really take away from the spirit of Dracula, you know?
Mm.
You know, they could have gone with an ending like it was, it was all the dream, or Dracula was actually just a normal dude, he was just fucking weird. But I kind of like that. It's like, no, just the cycle of the vampire continues. Coming for the sequel. I swear there is actually an off-brand sequel that's like Nosferatu in Venice or something.
Oh yeah, there is.
With the same guy as Orlok, or Dracula.
Could be.
So yeah. That was Nosferatu the Vampire, spelt with a Y for some reason.
Because it looks cooler.
It does look pretty cool, to be fair. So yeah, any further thoughts?
On the movie itself, or some trivia stuff, or what do you want to hear?
Anything.
Okay, trivia. The trivia I've got is that they had a lot, and I mean a lot of rats imported. And that it was quite... there are accusations that they didn't treat the animals really good.
There is an entire section on Wikipedia about animal cruelty in this film.
That they didn't feed them for the 3 days they were shipped, so they started eating each other.
They were dyed white, which did create a cool effect. The rats hated it. And allegedly the horse and sheep were treated awfully too.
Yeah. And
which is quite sad.
what I heard is that the town where they filmed this, because they couldn't go to the actual town because it's in East Germany. It's
of course, because just Germany was still split at that point.
Yeah, so they couldn't go to Wismar. So they filmed it somewhere else, and this town had a red plague before. So they weren't quite happy that they wanted to have these huge amounts of rats there, so they had to kind of glue. How are they called? The stuff that goes to the underground. Manholes.
Yeah.
They had to cover them and to cover all the cracks at the houses so the rats didn't get in.
Oh god, like that's pretty unfortunate, but like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Like the original, a lot of location filming, which I quite liked.
Yeah. What do you know about the guy who played Dracula?
I went down that rabbit hole. Yikes.
You did went down it?
Yeah.
Mr. Klaus Kinski.
Yeah, so the vibe I picked up is Klaus Kinski was a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking horrible person.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
No one really liked to be around him, and
Werner Herzog. I think Werner. If you see,
except possibly Werner Herzog.
I don't think Werner Herzog liked him.
Mm-hmm.
He respected his work, and he did.
Okay.
I think nobody other than Werner Herzog did more than one movie with him.
Yeah.
Because he was the only one who could kind of stand him.
Mm-hmm. I know his daughters wrote some books which were basically just calling him out on all the terrible things he did. And while he's a fantastic actor in this movie, fuck the dude, to be frank.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think a lot of the portrayals in this movie are quite good. Obviously, like, shout out to Renfield.
Oh, the guy who played Renfield and the woman who played what was her name again?
Lucy?
Lucy. Yeah. I think they were dubbed because they couldn't really speak English nor German. Or they just dubbed her for German. I don't know. I think the guy who played Renfield was dubbed in both versions because he didn't speak English nor did he speak German.
They just got some dude in. Like, it's like, what's he speaking? We don't know. Excellent. Come on in, mate. He's speaking a language. It's like, okay, yeah, we can have a more specific one? No.
But he's a good actor.
Yeah, he was fantastic. But yeah, like, I'm really glad I watched this. Like, I've been slowly making my way through different Dracula adaptations.
Yeah, Dracula is kind of your thing.
I want to watch the Francis Ford Coppola one and, of course, the Hammer horror one with the late great Christopher Lee in it.
Isn't it interesting that the movie we get, Renfield, that there's Nicolas Cage, who is the... I don't know what exactly he is, but he is related to Francis Ford Coppola.
Huh. Let me look this up. That is interesting. I feel like there's going to be a lot of connection between actors and that movie because I feel like everyone's been connected to Dracula at some point in their life. I was actually at a conference, like an academic conference the other, I think it was October? Late October, early November, and I got to attend a Q&A with the great grandnephew of Bram Stoker.
Which is pretty amazing. So tell us about it.
Oh yeah, he was just he was pretty fantastic. He was talking about like the research that he's done because like everyone like kind of actually tracking down where he reckons Dracula's castle is, discussing like they found the books that he used as reference material.
That's
the
cool.
exact copies. There's a lot of stuff about it. The Q&A was pretty good. He talked a lot about like, the original ending of the novel. I was that one person who apparently always asks about the film version. I felt very bad.
But didn't you ask a question that he liked?
Yeah, I basically there was an implication in the original ending relating to kind of God and stuff, and I basically like made a theory about it, and he was like, "Yeah, no, that's pretty much what we've inferred to."
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage is the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola. He went by Cage because he wanted to differentiate himself. Yes.
Yes, that's something I remember.
A lot of actors tend to do that. And there's a whole thing where like they try not to have actors with the same name.
Yeah.
Hence why a lot of actors have stage names. Like how David Tennant is actually David McDonald.
And some actors just change the names because they think having that kind of name is easier for people to...
Yeah.
Like... Yeah, to say.
Mm-hmm. Especially like musicians, sometimes it's easy to just like have like one name, or even just like a more interesting name, But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Nosferatu. What rating are we giving this remake?
So I think the original got 5 out of 10 from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would give this one 6 out of 10. Which is above average, which means I like it.
Now, I cannot for the life of me remember where remember my scores are slightly more inflated than Leon's. I can't remember what I rated Nosferatu, but on my Letterboxd it's 4 stars, so 8. And I put the remake to the exact same because I cannot for the life of me decide which I prefer.
Nice.
I do recommend this movie. It's not the most re-released film in the world, unfortunately.
The what?
It's not got that many DVD and Blu-ray releases, unfortunately.
No, it didn't.
I mean, I did track down a DVD copy from a few years ago, but...
How long was your copy?
You see, I'd like to... I think it was 2015, but Look, it's a really shit DVD, right? Like, okay, I'm going on a bit of a rant here. I love DVDs. I love collecting DVDs. And when I get a DVD, in my mind, it's like, yeah, I want, commentary, maybe with the special features. This doesn't have subtitles. This doesn't even have a scene select thing. They just shoved an MP4 of the movie on this disc, shoved an MP4 of the on-set documentary they made, put on a menu and called it a day. Compare this the Blu-ray version of Nosferatu, the original I have, which has 2 different commentaries, all these extra stuff, a little booklet. I think you could choose do you want to watch it with different scores? It's a really good Blu-ray box set. But yeah.
But what I was asking, I didn't ask from when, I asked how long is it? Because I heard...
Oh, sorry.
No problem. I thought it was really interesting what you said. It's just that I heard that the English...
Minutes.
An hour and 40 minutes?
Yeah,
okay, then you
much.
got the uncut version, because I heard that for the English market they cut out 10 minutes because they thought it was too long.
Huh. Too long? I suppose it was the 70s, yeah. I'm gonna say, films only going up to 3 hours nowadays.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I think we discussed this before. I think 90 minutes is a good film length. And I think like kind of 90 to 120 minutes is like a perfect length for a movie.
Depends on the movie.
Yeah, I mean, but like like if I were to say an average,
Yeah.
like Lord of the Rings wouldn't work in 90 minutes. But like I've watched some movies that are like 3 hours and really didn't need to be,
Yeah.
Or films that were like 70 minutes and really could have benefited from the extra 20.
Yeah.
Like Dracula's Daughter.
Can't say much about that one.
No, we haven't done a review of it yet. It's a good film. It's one of those films that just really gets going and then it ends. But yeah, next time we're going to be checking out the final part of Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And hey, this review, I'm actually planning on watching it like in a week or two, so hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later.
Or we are on another hiatus until she watched it.
No idea what I'm going to suggest after that. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. If you've watched the film, please let us know what you think. If you've not watched the film, watch it. And join us in like another year or two when we watch the next remake of Nosferatu and lament about where our lives has taken us.
Yeah.
I've been Claire.
And I'm still Leon.
And thank you for watching, listening. Whatever sixth sense that hasn't been invented yet, Ing. Farewell.
Farewell. Bye.
I have to say the bye. Excellent.